portion of this video is sponsored by Idle Heroes. In most people's minds, the Pontiac Aztek was a complete failure. No one could get past the disgusting exterior. The double hood, the plastic apron, the weird angles, yellow interior accents. Ugh! A monster that everyone could unite in hating. It was the anti-hero, which is why Walter White drove one. But what many people don't realize is, under those hideous square fenders, there's a pretty decent car. So I ask you, who's the real monster here? Me? This is everything you need to know to get up to speed on the Pontiac Aztek. This car is legit. Big thanks to our sponsor for this week, Idle Heroes. Look, I'm just like you. I love having an army of strong warriors fighting for my honor, but these days I ain't got the time to train them. Lucky for me and you, Idle Heroes is an exciting mobile game you can play anywhere, anytime. Fight with 6 factions and 300 unique heroes. The best part? Your army trains and grows stronger even when you're not playing. Your daily in-game tasks can be completed in 5 minutes, and all you have to bring to the battle is strategy. Are you kidding me? An army of goblins and goblins that train while you're at work? Go ahead and click the link below to download Idle Heroes for free. And thanks again to Idle Heroes for sponsoring this episode. Now, back to the story. Look, it's hard to reframe the biggest automotive failure in history as a success, but we're gonna try our darndest, so stay with us. Smash that like button if you like the Aztek. Hit that subscribe button if you hate the Aztek. In the mid to late 90s, when Post Malone was still wearing size 3 Crocs, GM was watching as Japanese car manufacturers were slaying the US crossover market. Younger Gen X couples and families that still had that extreme edginess were buying cars that fit their active lifestyles. Minivans were too lame and full-size FUVs were too expensive, but crossovers were affordable, efficient, stylish. Cars like the Honda CR-V and the Toyota RAV4 were selling hand over fist while GM was sitting there with their butt hanging out and no car to compete. Rich Wagner, CEO of GM at the time, was like, "These damn Gen Xers don't like our boring cars. What is wrong with them?"
Maybe we should do something new, something edgy.
So be it. From here on out, I declare that 40% of GM products should henceforth be innovative.
So let it be written. So let it be done.
That is a real thing that guy said. Maybe not word for word, but Rich Wagner actually said that 40% of GM products need to be innovative. What does that mean? I'm not sure, but for the next decade or so, anything remotely radical was greenlit, whether it served the customer or not. That's kind of stupid. I know! You're correct! Ugh. One of the reasons the Aztek failed is because GM didn't care what their customers thought. That's not a great business strategy. I only care what you guys think. Let me know if you like me down in the comments. Anyway, GM set out to develop their practical yet edgy crossover that bridged the gap between a sports car that a young person would buy and a minivan that an old person would buy. They saw Pontiac as a good fit for the new crossover for a couple reasons. Pontiac didn't have a high-profit SUV in their lineup, and they had a history of avant-garde concept cars. Avant-garde is French for crossover. Cars like the Outback, the Xterra, the RAV4 were all selling the idea that your car could be an escape. Did I mention the Ford Escape? Also an escape. An idea bubbled up from GM's West Coast Advanced Concept Center. Tom Peters, one of the Aztek's designers who would later go on to design the C7 Corvette, had an idea. He wanted to Dr. Frankenstein a Camaro and a Blazer. Pretty sick. Peter nicknamed the project Bear Claw because of its low, aggressive shape that reminded him of a donut. And that's the story of the Pontiac Bear Claw, the most powerful and successful crossover in GM's history. is what I would be saying if the idea wasn't axed by GM immediately. How do you not like a car called the Bear Claw? It's the second coolest part of a bear. GM execs didn't like the low profile and thought instead that the concept should be taller, more narrow, like the popular minivans at the time. So the next logical step would be to pick one or the other, right? That's the logical move. Well, if you wanted to hear a logical story, you wouldn't have started watching a video on the Pontiac Aztek, would you? So you got what you clicked. Instead of picking one or the other, they chose to do everything. All of the things. The car's designers wanted it this way. The execs wanted it another way, and they compromised on everything. This design by committee method would turn out to be the most toxic element of the Aztek's development. That's a poem I just wrote. Part of the failure can be attributed to the guy in charge of product development at the time, a dude named Don Hackworth. Perfect name. He was a hard-ass dude that got the job done no matter what.
We've all made up our minds that the Aztek is gonna be a winner. It's gonna astound the world. I don't want any negative comments about this vehicle. Not the one. Anybody who's got bad opinions about it, I want them off of the team!
So when the Aztek concept car was brought in front of a market research group and people said things like, I wouldn't take this as a gift, they just brushed it off. And they certainly weren't gonna listen when it scored dead last in all of its first impressions. Yeah, that was probably just a group of haters. To their credit, when the Aztek concept went public in 1999, it did get people excited. Maybe not Dog seeing his owner come back from active service excited, but people thought it was pretty neat. It had a sharp nose, radical edges, and an overall design that hadn't been seen before. People were interested. So you can imagine the looks on their faces when the production Aztek made its debut at the 2000 Detroit Auto Show and looked very little like the concept. The proportions were totally different. It had 18 inches of plastic cladding around the base, a redesigned hood, and 3-spoke wheels, which are sick, but not in this case. It was the car equivalent of that Ronaldo statue.
I made that statue.
Pontiac laid into the extreme styling and cliche Gen X personality at their press conference for the Aztek. They had paid dancers form a mosh pit around the car, holding signs that said things like Aztek, 185 horsepower, and it's the versatility, baby. At the end of the press conference, Pontiac's head marketing guy, Don Butler, jumped into the mosh pit and crowd surfed away. What are you doing? You are out of touch and you are not fooling anyone. By the way, check out my SoundCloud page and hit me up on TikTok. My ish is slaps, fam. At least the Aztek could still off-road, right? Wrong! GM cut costs at every corner, resulting in an underpowered, awkward, useless blob, just like my brother Lars. The 2001 Aztek had a corporate 3.4 liter V6 on-road focused optional Versatrack all-wheel drive system and sat on a Pontiac Montana minivan platform, which isn't bad if you're expecting to drive a minivan, but the Aztek was supposed to be bold and aggressive. It received such backlash that they had to redesign it only 5 months after its debut. They took off the plastic cladding. Actually, that's not true. They just painted it the same color as the rest of the car. But they did get rid of the 3-spoke wheels, which they had 2 different options of for some reason. They had the standard plastic 3-spoke wheel covers, or if you wanted to be fancy, you get 3-spoke alloys. Ooh la la. By the time the redesign had come out, the Aztek's reputation had already been damaged beyond repair. Pontiac planned to sell 75,000 a year, but worst case scenario, we'd break even if we sold 30,000. Unfortunately, they only sold 27,000 the first year. It was priced $5,000 above what it should have been and what competing vehicles were selling for. Sales declined over the next 4 years, if you can believe it, until finally the Aztek was scrapped in 2005 when Post Malone was 10 years old. A little over 119,000 were sold, and people just kind of forgot about the Aztek until a little show called Breaking Bad debuted in 2008. You remember it.
A car opens its doors and gets shot, and you think it's this car? No, this is the car that knocks.
Within a couple years, the Aztek had gone from an underpowered eyesore to affordable Craigslist find. Hipsters started scooping them up like exclusive colored vinyl Arcade Fire EPs.
I'm gonna do a video of my 3 Pontiac Azteks. They're all pretty neat in their own way.
And who can blame them hipsters? The Aztek is basically a time capsule of the early 2000s. Features that were once state-of-the-art are now eccentric and dated. It has a tailgate that doubles as a bench with cup holders, a tissue holder in the glove box, a removable cooler as a center console. An Aztek branded tent came standard with an Aztek air mattress. But where are you gonna store all that stuff? Well, in the pull-out tray, of course, that has little luggage wheels for some reason. It's kind of funny that the designers thought things like a windshield wiper that shot fluid right out of the wiper would be standard features in the future. The Aztek may have been a complete failure when it came out, but take a look at crossovers today. They all kind of look like the Aztek. Thanks for watching Donut Media. We appreciate it so much. If you like this video, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss anything we put out in the future. Hit the like button so my boss knows that I'm doing a good job and I can be like, look at it! Check out this episode of Up to Speed. Check out this episode of Wheelhouse. Follow me on Instagram at James Pumphrey. Follow Donut on Instagram at Donut Media. I love you.